Pipe Network presents.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the LTG Show Podcast.
If you want to learn something new or useless about the world around you, why don't you try listening to the Banyu Podcast Reflushed on Spotify, Anchor, or any podcast app that you use.
Catch the Pizarra Tales weekly as we tackle issues about education and share experiences about teaching. Hosted by Jay Australia, available on your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay. It's Friday, and you know what that means, my believers. Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. Wow, it's been a long time. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Wow, tangina. It's been a long time since I'm doing this shit. 1 week lang naman. Pero tangina, ba't lagi ko ito pinagsasabihin? No? Ay, gago. Ako, si makapal ang muka. Lagi kong sinasabi sa bawat program ko na it's been a long time, it's been a long time. Makikinig kayo sa akin, hindi na bago yun. Sorry. Okay, let's get to the chase. Kasi there's a lot of wrestlers who got released from WWE, and we're going to talk about that tonight and today on this week's episode. And then we're going to talk about AEW Full Gear predictions. And kung alam niyo na mga nangyari sa Dynamite, siguro di na natin masyado ididikdikin sa predictions natin ngayon na we're not going to do yung longer episode siguro. Kasi medyo nagka-problema kanina before we start the episode. Meron akong sinusubukang i-figure out. Kaya lang hindi ko siya ma-figure out. So that's why hindi ko siya mamaya we're going to do some announcements then for next month. Lalo na dun sa ating The Bash Awards that will take place on 2nd or 3rd week of December. More announcements will be released in the next few days. So, sige na. Before we start this week's episode, we know na Lazada and Shopee sales is over at meron pang parating na payday and meron pang parating na 12/12. So, if you want to support the podcast, please use my links on the description below. That's Lazada, that's podlink.co/6gs, and then on Shopee, that's podlink.co/bhx. Wala kayong babayaran kahit ano, lagay nyo lang sa browser, and then pag in-enter nyo yun, diretso yun sa app, saka kayo mag-check out, and meron akong commission dyan na makukuha na makakatulong sa akin to continue dito sa mga katarantaduhan na pinaggagawa ko dito sa podcast. Sige na, let's get to the chase. Let's start with the one of the most important stuff na nangyari Friday. Nag-record ako episode last week. And immediately, almost 4 hours after that recording, ito yung tumambad sa akin. Wow! There's a lot of names who got released from from their contracts. So we got Kit Lee, Karen Cross with Scarlett, Eva Marie, Nia Jax, Ember Moon, Mayhem, Harry Smith, B-Fab ng Heathrow, Katrina Cortez, Tony Trey Baxter, Frankie Monet, Grand Metalik, si Saida Premier, Ben, si Oni Lorcan, Lindsay Dorado, Jessica Mea, and meron pa ako isang di ko lang maaninag kasi ang pangit ng sulat ko. Ito, there's a lot of wrestlers who got released from this latest exodus from WWE. And, wow, bumabawi na kayo sa kita. Tapos nakapag-release pa kayo. Ano kaya ang naiisip ng WWE ngayon? To be honest, wala rin ako ideya. Kung tatanungin niyo ako, Angelo, Sir MTG, ano ba ang nangyayari sa WWE? Ganito lang yan. Kung ang dahilan nila budget cuts, ibig sabihin may something na nangyayari inside of WWE. Hindi dahil maraming problema backstage. There's a lot of problems that we need to address, but hindi ko pwedeng i-address ngayon. Si Keith Lee, sobrang sayang, nangihinayang ako sa kanya, especially during na binibuild na siya during his Bearcat gimmick. Karen Cross and Scarlett, si Karen Cross, halatang wala ng plano sa kanya. Binaboy na lang siya. Binaboy na yung gimmick. Binaboy pa siya. Si Eva Marie medyo 50-50 ako dito. I can say na, wait, ba't siya nabalik? And now she's back on doing films. So I guess doon muna siya mag-i-stay. Nia Jax, isa to sa mga kinakahinayangan ko. Even though na I hate her character. But still, I don't know. Bakit sobrang sobrang out of nowhere nito. Sobrang hindi na siya yung kagaya ng dati na magre-release sila ng talents. Tapos parang basta-basta na ka na lang magugulat kung sino-sino itong mga sisipain nila palabas. Si Mayhem also, she got released from her contract. And si Ember Moon, also a former NXT Women's Champion. Also, na-release din si B-Fab. Ka-debut pa lang sa main roster. Putang ina. Tapos sisipahin nyo agad. Yung Heathrow ngayon, sobrang different. Hindi na. Mamaya explain natin sa summary ng weekly shows. Si Frankie Monet, sobrang nalungkot ako dito, tabayan. Sakala ko pa naman magkakaroon siya ng bright future sa WWE, but sorry, hindi yun nangyari. Also, ang alam ko, si Grand Metalik, nagpa-release na to eh. Sumabay lang. Ewan ko, tama ako. Alam ko nagpa-release na to ng contract eh. Alam ko nagpa-release talaga to. And then, the others, sobrang nakapanganayan, lalo at binibuild pa nila yung NXT 2.0. I don't know what's the real reason of these releases. Pero according sa mga backstage sources natin, baka ang dahilan nito is yung budget cuts. Obviously, budget cuts. Budget cuts lang din naman ang idadahilan na itong mga hinayopak natin. Okay, so that's medyo kailangan natin lumayo-layo. We need to talk about Sir Xavier Woods and his up, down, down. So, context, para lang magka-ideya kayo. Hindi na nakapaglabas ng episodes ang up, down, down 2-3 weeks ago. So, we're going to read the article. Several WWE stars has been informed of their releases. Budget cuts were cited as the reason in an email from John Laurinaitis. And then, Xavier Woods and all of the members of Up, Down, Down content creators have halted making any new content as they feel Woods is being shafted by WWE and not being paid properly. Siyempre ito, let's say, alam nating lahat na WWE owns UUDD. No, tama ba ako? Alam ko sila talaga ang naghahawak dito eh. Pero, ang property nito syempre is kay Woods to galing. Sa paghihirap to ni Woods. Pero wala man ng credit dito si Woods eh. Parang kumaga ginagatasan ng WWE yung channel. I don't know if tama ba yung term ko, but I think that's the term. And I wish na umaasa ako na maayos tong sitwasyon na to. And parang hindi ito matutuloy-tuloy, hindi rin magkakaroon ng bagong content sa UUDD hanggat hindi pa umaayos yung contract ni Woods sa WWE. Siguro, isa to sa mga shit para masabi natin na, ito Woods, stay ka sa company, bibigyan kita ng ibang contract. And then, gawa ka ng ibang content. Ang weird ng ganun eh. Ang weird pakinggan ng ganun. Ang shit ng ganun, to be honest. And sobrang nadidismaya ako. Sige, let's move on to our weekly show reviews. Kasi ito lang naman yung gusto kong digdigin. And then Full Gear, we're going to do the major announcements about the upcoming The Bash Awards that will take place on the 3rd week of December. So, believers, ito, wait lang. Bigyan ko muna kayo ng konting background kung bakit believers na yung tawag ko sa inyo. No? Believers kasi, parang tribute ko na siya sa Lucha Underground. Napaisip ako nito a few nights ago. Sabi ko, wait, ba't wala pa akong call sign sa mga listeners ko dito? And na-realize ko, ang una kong pinanood na non-WWE content, isa sa mga una kong napanood was Lucha Underground. And the commentators, sino nga ba itong commentator na to sa Lucha Underground? I forgot his fucking name. And every time na napapaganda yung spots sa Lucha Underground, sinasabi her believers, blah, 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 blah. So that's why I was thinking about this name, believers. So moving forward, we're going to call you guys believers. Okay. Wala na ako masyado sabihin about that name. Let's talk about SmackDown. Konting SmackDown because SmackDown sucks. Not really. So, umpisa natin sa Roman Reigns with the Usos. And then, ayun nga, nag-propose nga ng main event between Jimmy Uso and King Woods. So, bale, parang ito nag-set up to sa isang match. If Woods wins the match, kailangan lumuhod ni Uso. And then, pag nanalo si Uso, i-acknowledge naman niya si Roman. And later on, na-announce din na official na yung match between Big E and Roman Reigns for the title. Hindi pala title versus title. Actually, champion versus champion. Okay, ito. Yung kay Woods, I can say na every day or every show, I think we can say na nag-improve yung gimmick na to ni Xavier Woods. So, sa akin lang to. Ewan ko. Pero yung negative na nakikita ko for the past few days, nakikita ko na yung improvement kumpara sa mga nagagawa niya for the past few weeks. Si Selena Vega, mamaya natin i-explain because that's a different story. And yung addition kay Kofi and pagpasok nga ng New Day is maganda yung pasok nito para sa akin. And yan. And then, let's move on to Naomi and Shayna Baszler. So, niya, the real bullshit. Guys, I don't know. Ano ba ang pagtutunguhan nito? To be honest, hindi ko na alam ang pagtutunguhan nito. Parang every week, pawala yung interest ko. I know there's a day na magkakaroon ng comeback si Sonya eventually sa ring. But for right now, parang ini-slow build pa din nila. Na. And also, let me add na gusto ko din yung Drew versus Ricochet from last week's SmackDown because that shit is so fucking good. Yan lang for a reason. And then, ayun, the main event of this week's SmackDown is so fucking good. And sobrang fun ng main event na ito. And wow, this is how to build a match without Big E. The problem here is ba't wala si Big E? They should build up Survivor Series right now. To be honest, dapat right now, nagbibuild na sila ng Survivor Series. Hindi na dapat ito nirarush. Kasi sobrang nakakadismaya eh. Na ito, bibuild niyo ito, rush. Gago ka ba? De ito, ang akin, mama, there's a day, meron tong araw, para shitan ko tong Survivor Series stuff. Siguro, we're going to save the sharing next week for the Survivor Series. But for now, let's go to Monday Night Raw. No? Sa Monday night naman, in this case, there's a lot of... Wait, bago ko sabihin to, itong episode na to ng Raw, i-explain ko muna o i-introduce ko muna kung sino yung mga teams for this year's Survivor Series. So, since marami ng announcements. So, Team Raw, in-announce ito sa social media nung weekend. So, Team Raw is Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, and originally dapat si Dominic. Mamaya explain natin kung bakit nawala si Dominic. And then SmackDown, Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Corbin, Happy Corbin, King Woods, and Sami Zayn. The women's side, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Selina. SmackDown, Sasha, Shayna, Shotzi, Natalia, and Aliyah. Yep. Eto. Let's go back to Monday night. So, there's 3 things that I love the most from this week's Raw, to be honest. Number 1 is the Kevin Owens heel turn. Sobrang solid nung heel turn. Eventually, hindi ko to in-expect na mangyayari to at all. Call me an idiot, but Kevin Owens is the MVP of this week's Raw. I swear. Sobrang solid kasi nung niya. Sobrang solid nung outcome niya dito. And parang hindi ka mag-predict na ito si Owens pag-turn to 2-3 weeks after. But no sobrang effective ng role niya dito eh. Lalo na yung na-promo niya last week or last week. I swear, hindi ko in-expect na ganito yung mangyayari kay KO. And wow, what the hell? Sobrang sobrang solid na tong turn na to. Although, there's a problem. Meron, ang pagtutunguhan ba nitong build-up na to is a triple threat sa day 1? Or they are just building this shit and magkakaroon ng isang title match during December? Yun ang isang kong question. Bakit? Okay, we know Seth Rollins is the number 1 contender. But we don't know eh. Yung questionin nyo shit na to, parang dun tayo sa isang point na yung mga matches na to, especially yung pag-build nila sa Survivor Series na to is kinda suck. Na. Pero sige na, wag tayo masyadong ano. Ang layo eh, no? And then, so, pag-usapan natin ng konti kung bakit inalis si Dominic Mysterio sa Raw. bago tayo bumalik dun sa una kong reason about KO. So, si Dominic inalis doon sa match kasi sinabi ni Adam Pearce na tanga, dapat daw dapat daw yung Team Raw ay lahat former WWE champions. And unfortunately, hindi naging WWE champion si Dominic. So that's why nagkaroon nga ng tawag ba dito? Nagkaroon ng isang match between him and Bobby Lashley, and just like fucking that, he beat Lashley. He beat Dominic in less than ilang minuto ba? Hindi ko na nasukat, basta mga 2 minutes lang yan. And then also we got this crap from this week Raw. Number 2, I love the 24/7 championship changes, random changes on this one. So the most important stuff on this one is naging champion si Byron Saxton tsaka si Corey Graves. Just in my opinion, sobrang solid na tong run na to ng tao ba dito? Sobrang solid ng run dito ni Adam Pearce. Kaya lang meron siya laging butas na nakikita ko. Almost every episode may butas talaga to sa Pearce. Hindi nawawala na yan. No? And yung pagiging dick dito ni sino ba tong dick niya to? Yung pagiging dick ni Adam Pearce makes me sick and makes me irritated, to be honest. And it's kinda suck. Ang problema lang dito sa 24/7 na to, ano bang na-accomplish dito? Wala. Nabalik lang din kay Reginald yung title. So what's the point of this BS? Wala. For real, wala. Ayan, so final thing for this week's episode before bago balikan yung unang kong punto kanina. I love how they decided to book a Raw Women's title contendership too early. Siguro kung January pa yung pay-per-view, meron pa silang isang buwan para mag-build up. But in this case, hindi tayo nagulat na ganito yung nangyayari. Hindi rin tayo magugulat na ganito ang mangyayari. Diba? So, wow. Serena Vega. Liv Morgan defeated Queen Zelina, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Carmella in a 5-way match. And sobrang ganda ng touch na itong panalo na to ni Liv for me. Siguro dapat lang bigyan to ng moment. Kasi sobrang tagal na ito sa roster. Umalis na yung iba niyang kasama, tapos ito wala pa ding shot, wala pa ding opportunity. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with all of you guys? Ganon. And then, sige, so we got Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins in a match. So, I swear I love this fucking match. And also, I love the plot twist that Owens did to Big E. Alam mo yun, sobrang solid ng plot twist na yun. And then, sabihin ko kasi medyo yung point dito is kinda to continue and to build the brand without the original members of NXT or the veteran members of NXT. So that's the goal, I think, in my point of view. And to be honest, that's pretty damn good. And last point of view is before we're going to take a short break. Ayan, so we got NXT 2.0. The only reason kaya nanood ako ng NXT 2.0 right now is because of toxic attraction. No? Wala akong ganong problema sa roster list nila. Pero as much as I hate NXT right now, parang nagiging flat. Parang nagiging flat siya para sa akin. And hindi pa natin nakikita kung ano yung magiging outcome or product. And finally, the main event from this week's NXT, Carmelo Hayes versus Pete Dunne. is so fucking good. Now, if you want to watch a match, I swear this is one of them. Now, and to add, in-announce na din ng WWE that WWE is going to drop the takeover tagline for the future events starting with NXT War Games. Ano masasabi ko? Wala na. Wala na rin namang sense ko ititira mo yung takeover na product ng Black and Gold. So itong move na to, it's kind of makes sense. And I love how they build this stuff. But sobrang satisfied ako sa mga naging product nitong stuff na to. So, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about AEW, some recap lang for AEW, and yung announcement natin ng konti about what's going to happen in December. So, for now, let's check our other podcast here on Pipe Network.
Gusto niya bang malaman kung paano kami nakikipag-collab sa mga brands in the MT Show podcast? We use Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast. If meron kang podcast, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code DMTGShowPod to get full control on how you monetize your show regarding of its size. Again, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code DMTGShowPod. If you're an advertiser who wants to collab with us, head on over to advertiser.podmetrics.co and fill up the form. Again, Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast.
This is Mike and Ham from Please Pause. Meron kaming munting podcast where we talk about all things TV and film. And despite that, surprisingly, we are still married.
Control freak ka kasi sa podcast na to.
30 seconds lang po ang meron tayo. Pakibilisan.
From blockbusters to classics, superheroes to love teams, hit series to teleseries, join us as we have meaningful and meaningless conversations on the stuff we watched. Someday, mababago ka rin ang tagline na yan.
Check out Please Pause on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other major podcast platforms.
See you there!
Okay, we're back on the podcast. Hello, believers. This is the MTG Show podcast, and you're listening to your favorite podcast platforms that you can use: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and on the podcast app. And new episodes is available every Fridays. So, let's get... Medyo kailangan natin pumunta na ng Full Gear is going to take place on Sunday, Manila time. Excuse me, and wow. Wait, mag-recap pa ba ako on what happened? Oo, need ko kasi. Sige, ito. Recap tayo ng konti. So, we got a confrontation between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston because that stuff is so fucking good. I love that shit. And I swear, if yung paano nila ibinibuild to, sana ikumpara natin sa tawag ba dito? Kumpara natin sa kimchi, habang tumatagal yung pagka-ripe, gumaganda yung stuff. Also, I want to acknowledge Adam Cole versus John Silver because that match is so fucking good for this week's Rampage. I swear. Sobrang rare no? Pinili ko yung joke match itong dalawa. But seriously, that match is so fucking good. No? That stuff is so good. And then, ito medyo kailangan natin mag-move on. Pero bago tayo mag-move on, I need to remind all of you guys that you can support the podcast by using my links for NordVPN. So, NordVPN is a virtual private network na pwede nyong gamitin pang-bypass sa mga apps like Disney Plus and other content na hindi mo makikita here in the Philippines right now. So, if you want to protect your internet and of course to watch the content na hindi mo papanood dito sa Pilipinas, the only thing you need to do is buy your own NordVPN. So, ongoing pa ang Black Friday deal na ito. I don't know if on today's recording, ongoing pa to. So, apparently, you can get 2 years plus 1 month na free for only $79. If you convert sa pesos, that's 3,900 plus. Or, kung regular na ulit, I think that's 89. Kung convert mo, that's almost a 4,000 peso. The only thing you need to do is sign up now at padlink.co/BWN for your NordVPN. Ayan. So, let's go back to AEW Dynamite. So, first thing foremost, I love how they build this pay-per-view. Di man appropriate para pag-usapan tong pay-per-view ngayon. So we're going to talk about that after the commercial break. But this go home show for Dynamite is so fucking good, I swear. Start to finish, it's so fucking good. Let's start with the Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero. I swear this match is one of the best matches of the week. However, syempre hindi match of the week to. Obviously, that's a good stuff that we can watch or we can watch on pay-per-view sa isang promotion, but we can get that on a AEW Dynamite show. So it's pretty damn good, to be honest. And then we got ATT American Top Team. So they assaulted Chris Jericho and Inner Circle during their entrance. And I think ito yung magruruin ng momentum ng ATT, to be honest. Ewan ko kung ganito din ang naisip nyo, but I think that's the stuff that we do forward. And then, we got ano ba to? So, we got a match between Anthony Bowens and Jungle Boy. I swear that match is so fucking good. No more introductions. And then, Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty versus Dante Martin and The Rush. Man, what a match. Di na natin kailangan shitan to because this fucking shit is so fucking good. I swear. Sobrang ganda na to laban na to. And hindi ko kayo masisisi if you don't what? You don't what? If ayaw niya panoorin itong laban na to, well, it's not my problem. Hindi ko kawalan mo. Ganun lang yan. And finally, the main event, that's a contract signing between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. For me, that's in my point of view. I-explain ko na lang sa review nitong episode na to, sa predictions nitong episode na to. But for me, this contract signing is on point. Although, meron akong grace na na-observe ganitong stuff na yan. Meron akong ilang gray problems. Explain natin when we come back. And Babers, for now, let's check our other podcast here on Pipe Network.
I like to have a good time when I listen to my horror podcast.
Her left arm
Oh,
was
that's
chopped
so.
off.
Oh my god, really?
Caused a panic all over the
Prolonged
country.
their deaths for like months and
The
months.
frightening, alarming, real-life tales show is my horror podcast. My horror podcast. That's
Give
it?
Pause it.
This is your scary part? Be scared and laugh hard with the frightening, alarming, real-life tales show every Friday on all major podcasting platforms. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Okay, we're back. And now we're here on the third portion of the podcast. So before we go to the predictions for Full Gear, I want to do some announcements for the upcoming The Bash Awards. So, gusto ko mag-explain bakit ko dinarap yung The Year-End Bash Awards format. Actually, wala akong dinarap na format. No? Ang dinarap ko lang is year-end. No? Doon sa pangalan ng show. So, moving forward habang buhay itong podcast, every second to fourth week of the month of December, expect nyo na mayroon tayo nito. Meron akong ilang binago sa categories itong awards na to. Pero siguro, ilalabas na lang natin siya sa social media few days. Sabado lumalapit yung Survivor Series. So apparently, Survivor Series is the last pay-per-view that we're going to include on the list. So, yung mga list natin so far patapos na yon. Meron na lang akong ilang finifix. So, yun ang kailangan natin look forward for the next few weeks. Okay? So, yun na muna. For more details for that matter, i-check nyo na lang yung social media platforms ang podcast, which is on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on other podcast platforms. Okay. So, it's time to predict Full Gear. So, wow, ang ikli ng episode ko ngayon, no? Hindi rin ako makapaniwalang ganito kaikli. Pero next week, we're going to do a longer episode na. So, let's start with the, match na mag-take place sa buy-in. Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa. I think Hikaru Shida to. Shida and Rosa. And then, let's start with the bottom. The latest match of the card. So, that's Pac and Cody Rhodes versus Malakai Black and Andrade El Idolo. As much as I hate Cody, kailangan niya matalo dito right now. Kasi gusto ko na i-put over niya yung dalawang nakita ko kanina na nag-post sa Twitter or IG ba yun na taga-takig. That stuff is so fucking good, I swear. And then, ito, ang prediction ko para doon is I think Pac and Cody is going to lose. Hindi naman kawalan yon for them. So, I think Malakai Black and Andrade. And then, si Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus Super Click, Adam Cole, Young Bucks. I think this is a must win for Bucks and Adam Cole. And regardless naman, maganda pa din naman ang kalalabasan nito as long as na kitang-kita natin yung tunay na pagbabago here in Silang, Cavite. So that's so nice to see. No? And then Darby Allin versus MJF. One of the reasons that's why I don't like to watch pay-per-views because there's a lot of fillers on this shit. I think Darby should win. Yun lang. And then we got CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston match. I swear this is one of my favorite stuff for Full Gear. And if binigo tayo nito, madali tayong kausap, we can change my mind anytime. So that's a good stuff. And then we got Lucha Bros versus FTR for the AEW Tag Titles. I can say retain to. No? Retain to. And then we got the Inner Circle versus Man of the Year and ATT. Dapat ang mananalo dito ay ATT. They need the build. Kasi wala na rin naman ibang stable aside doon. No? And so, that's so fucking good. And I think the winner of the match is ATT and Man of the Year. They need to build the character. They need to build a lot for that category. And then we got Bryan Danielson versus Miro during the AEW World Title Tournament Eliminator. Eliminator. So I think predictions for that one is wala akong komento. Di naman ako taga Quezon eh. Okay. So di man ako magko-komento masyado. And then we got and then ang prediction ko pala dito, I think BD is going to win. Na mananalo dito si BD, I swear. And then we got Dr. Britt Baker versus Ty Conti. Wala, easy to. I think ang mananalo dito ay si Tatang. Pag-uusapan natin laziness. And then finally, Kenny Omega versus Chris Hangman Adam Page for the AEW title. You heard that right, for the AEW title. So, ano ba ang tawag dito? Ano ba ang tiers? Actually, i-up ko siya mamaya sa Kayfabe Cafe. And if you want to watch AEW Full Gear or other shows like that, siguro ang kaabangan natin on that one is kung paano tayo makakaiwas sa tukso. So, that's pretty much it for my takeover predictions. And now, let's move on to my picks of the week. So, picks of the week, it's kinda subjective, my believers. But this is one of my favorite songs from BTS. I swear. Again, so yun, nasa description ng episode yung playlist. So if you want to listen, there's some stuff for that matter. And then, so ito na nga, ang top picks of the week natin. So we get the superstar of the week. We get two guys, Adam Cole and Bobby. It's ang tawag dito? Si Bobby Fish. Si Bobby Fish. And yan. And then, yung ating woman. Wait, sino ba woman natin? Noong last week. Di ko tanda kasi ng woman natin last week eh. Kasi marami tayong inasikaso last week dito po sa Carmona. Kaya that's why di na ako nakagawa ng ibang episode for UDDD na. Kaya ayan. Sobrang nakakalungkot na ganito yung mangyayari. And nadidismaya ako for that matter. And then, picks of the week. It's time to talk about picks of the week. Ang picks of the week natin is very simple. Sobrang simple na itong mga picks ko for this week. Na-mention ko na yung superstar. So, let's talk about the other counterpart. The woman side of things. Woman, I think it's Meiko, si Tita Meiko Satomura. Satomura ba? Tama ba ako? Wait, tama ba ang pagkasabi ko? Teka. Meiko. Ayan, Meiko Satomura nga, tama. Meiko is the woman of the week. I swear, sobrang solid ito laban niya from NXT UK. You can watch that on free on YouTube. And if you want to subscribe on tap, go. Then, yeah, go. Subscribe. And then the match of the week is obviously Adam Cole versus the jeepney disaster that we encountered for the past few months. So, that's a good stuff na inalis nila. But wala na, nakakasira na ng pangalan sa mga bobong Marcos DDS. Okay. So, basically, yun lang ang ating episode ngayong linggo. And if you want to look forward on my predictions, syempre, pakinggan nyo tong episode na to. And if you want to listen for my other podcasts, please check the podcast below. And yung iba pang mga episodes ko, pakicheck nyo din, syempre. So, believers, that's it for this week's podcast. You can listen to the podcast every Fridays on your favorite podcast platforms and on the podcast app. And then follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok at the MTK Show Pod. And then you can follow and support Pipe Network by visiting the website pipenetwork.co, and yun, for more Pipe Network shows. And then you can support my personal profile on Facebook and on Twitter, Instagram at AG Penera. So basically yun lang. Yun lang ang ating episode for this week. If nabitin ka, you can listen to my other podcast that you listen to. And that's it. My believers, stay safe, stay reso. I hope all of you guys are still masking up. Stay safe, stay reso. See you on the next episode of the podcast. Peace out.